FX1.
Shakur Stevenson, the way he fights is kind of similar to Canelo,
FX2.
and his control of distance is probably what's going to cause Valdez a lot of problems. As you can see
FX24.
here, how he keeps his weight on the back foot and leans back to try to get his opponent out of position. And when he does this, it's a way of trying to, as you can see, inch his way closer. It's a creeping method of cutting distance, a subtly cutting distance, so your opponent doesn't quite exactly know how far away you are, because it's so subtle. And Canelo does this quite a bit. Something that I'm going to explain later when I do a Devil versus Canelo analysis. But here you can see that Valdez is going to really struggle with Shakur and the way he approaches controlling distance. And I think this is a very good example of showing how Shakur is able to accomplish this, because he does something that's not actually, it's a little bit different than Canelo, and I think it's unique. I haven't really seen anybody do it this way. So let's take a look. So here you can see his center of mass as he performs a lean back, which then keeps his weight on the back foot, and now he's going to take a step forward, cutting off distance and inching his way closer. And then you see, watch, look, there he anchors his foot. And he anchors his foot there. That way it allows him to pull back to that position in order to, he doesn't give up that distance. And so he'll pull back, he'll keep his foot anchored there, step really far forward. You can see the distance between his feet. And I think the drawback there is that you actually lose a little bit of power, but what you gain in return is inhibiting your opponent from being able to attack you, because you can so quickly, because Shakur also has such great reflexes that he's able to pull back really far. So let's see this again. He inches forward. It's kind of like testing the water. He's going to lunge. So okay, now he's going to perform the lean back. He keeps his weight back there on that foot, and then he's going to step forward as a way of it's kind of like testing the water. That way, if he attacks, if herring attacks would be, okay, there, he anchors his foot right there. Now that keeps him able to go immediately back to that position, and then he's going to pull back, and then he's created such distance between herring that it's nearly impossible for herring to get an attack on. Well, Shakur is able to attack herring. It's a pretty good technique, anchoring your foot like that. So that's a problem that Oscar's going to have to deal with. But the thing with Oscar is that he's not as poor a boxer as people are making him out to be. So I think the last time Valdez fought a southpaw, it was probably about 6 years ago, maybe longer. Feel free to correct me on that, but I think it's been at least 6 years. So it's been a while. But as you can see here, he likes to come in with a straight right. He hardly uses his jab to set up his straight right. As you can see here, he's going to lean to the weak side and then attack the body. And again, he comes in, and then as you can see, he's going to use a lot of lateral movement. He parries, and he's constantly going to be turning to the weak side. This is something that we didn't really quite see when he fought Conceição. With Shakur, as you can see here, that when he fought Nakatilia, that they were playing a game
FX1.
of the lead hand, where he was trying to
FX2.
control the rhythm. Incidentally, as you can see here, that Shakur, he will step on the toes. I don't know if he's going to do that with
FX24.
Valdez, but he was doing that a lot in this fight. But as you can see, they're touching, and he's going to try to break the rhythm here so he can create an opening in which to attack. And now, watch as I can feel it. He goes and he reaches out, you see, and he steps in and then comes and attacks. Because he created that, he disrupted the timing there. And then he'll lean back and pull back all the way out, like creating that space, that safety space. And it was, you know, Nakafileb, he fell down. He couldn't handle the reflexes of Shakur, or the speed. And it's that technique where Shakur anchors his foot and pulls back so far once he attacks. It's very difficult to close that distance and attack Shakur. But here we see the southpaw here as he goes in and he's leaning. See how he's getting outside. He's feinting. He's layering his offense again. As you can see, he's going to turn weak side, but he doesn't do it. He's just trying to layer it. He's putting in a lot of feints. He's moving laterally and constantly turning his opponent. And this is the southpaw he had fought. Now, as you can see, right here, he goes, he feints, gets him out of position, comes up. He doesn't connect, but you can see what he's doing here. And it's very technical. He's boxing. He's not just coming in to brawl. Again, he leads with his right hand, something he does often. And so he doesn't try to disrupt the rhythm with the lead hand. He fights differently. And now he's going to go watch as he jumps, and then he cuts that angle. He timed his opponent's jab, got onto the outside, and is constantly moving laterally. And he's causing his opponent a lot of problems, and I think his opponent was also an Olympian. So you see feinting, coming in, coming out, manipulating distance, changing levels, and as you can see here, he's going to watch the foot. See there? He ends up tripping, and that's because of a lot of the lateral movement that he's using. So if his foot gets stepped on, that he could probably lose his balance and fall down. And in this fight, it actually cost him a knockdown. That wasn't a knockdown, that was a trip. But after this, he comes back and he went from volume 10 to volume 11 in here, and he really turned it up. But the point is that he's actually boxing, and he's a very technical boxer. And I heard Shakur talk about how that he's going to come into brawl and that he's not going to box, which I don't know. I think that's the wrong attitude to have coming into this fight. I think that if he's preparing for a brawl, he might get surprised. And that's something that I was kind of listening to and was a little, concerned over, because I don't know what Shakur's plan is. I think he feels confident boxing with Valdez, but, we'll see. And I also have a couple more clips here showing Valdez layering his offense and using a lot of movement for defense, such as right here you can see there leads with his right, takes that angle outside like that against the southpaw, something he does all the time. And Shakur moves in a linear line. I don't see him turn his opponent very much, so I think this actually might cause Shakur some problems. We will see. We will see. And Valdez is constantly looking for that left hook.
FX1.
Again, we can see Valdez feinting before he comes in
FX2.
as he attacks his opponent right here.
FX24.
Trying to set him up for that right hand, taking that outside angle, layering his offense. He misses, but he's able to get out on the outside like that. And this is something that we did not see him, we never saw that against Conceição. And if you watch when he fought Conceição, it's almost like a different Valdez. You can see here, he's just going to lunge in like that. There was no setup. He wasn't using feints. He wasn't doing anything that he was doing 6 years ago, which is, I find very strange. So I'm wondering if this was just an off night for him. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was the tea incident, I'm not sure. But this is a different Valdez that's fighting in here from a Valdez we saw 6 years ago. As you see here, he steps, shoots the jab, and then look as he lunges in like this. He was doing this all night. And Reynoso was telling him that he can't do this, but he did it anyway. And lucky for him that Conceição tired out halfway through. Otherwise, he probably would have lost that fight. And here he's going to go try to set up the left hook, but he's not really setting it up. He knows what he wants to do. You can see that he's keeping his right hand down. So he's just going to try to time him. He doesn't time him right. He misses. So the Valdez that we saw fighting Conceição is not the Valdez that it's not what he's capable of, that's for sure. So I think basing things off that fight is a mistake. And then we can see here that with Shakur, I think this was Herring's best round, but he was able to close the distance, and you can see that Shakur does not like close quarter combat here. You know, you get on the inside, and it's like he wants to get away from, because he's a boxer, and he wants to create that distance, and you can see that he's just getting hit to the body. He's getting hit everywhere by Herring. And I think he lost that round too. And I think he believes that's what Valdez is coming in to do, but I'm not so sure here. So I expect Shakur to try to avoid these situations that he found himself in with Herring, and try to control the distance, to not let Valdez get inside, and to catch him coming in, to time him coming in, or to quickly shoot across the ring by anchoring his foot and attacking Valdez that way. And then, as you can see here, the one thing that I don't like is that Shakur constantly gives up ground. As you can see, he's constantly going backward, trying to walk his opponent into a shot. And when he does that, he allows himself to be pushed up against the ropes or cornered. And when he fights Valdez, that's going to be the last place that he wants to find himself. You see how he keeps inching backward? I mean, he's good at getting out of that. You can see how he's disrupting rhythm, mixing up his offense, and then clinching or smothering his opponent's offense. And he can get out of those situations pretty effectively. But there are times that he does get caught. And those are the times I kind of wonder if Valdez is able to catch him and actually hurt him. As you can see in this situation here where he allows himself to get cornered into the ring. And this actually kind of happened a lot, especially in the beginning of the fight. He did make some adjustments later on, but this was a theme that was reoccurring. And I didn't like that. I don't like how he gives up so much of the ring and allows himself to get cornered like that, because I think Valdez is a very accurate puncher and he punches really hard. So that's going to be a problem that I think Shakur is going to have to avoid, and he's going to have to actually understand that Valdez is a boxer. He's not a brawler. I still favor Shakur to win here, but I'm thinking it's more like a 55-45% fight. I don't think Shakur is going to blow Valdez out of the water, and I think that's good. I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight to watch, which is I think what we all want. So anyway, that's just what, my analysis. I think that's how it's going to go. I think those are the problems that Valdez will face with Shakur, and I think those are the problems that Shakur will face with Valdez. And listening to how Shakur spoke about Valdez, I think that this fight is now more closer to a 50-50 fight than I had previously thought.